It's Brett here from Stir Crazy Cooking with another one of our quarantine cooking sessions. Today we're doing arancini, which is an Italian, in fact a Sicilian little dish. I'm going to show you how to make that from scratch, and then I'm going to show you a couple of different techniques. But before I get into that, won't you please take a look at our website and book an online course. There's some fantastic online courses. We're doing an Italian class on Thursday. The following week I think we've got a bread making class. So there's some really nice courses and they're not expensive at all. So book onto one of those. It'll also help us when we get back into things just to sustain ourselves. So please, help us by supporting us and enjoying yourself as well. Okay, so let's start looking over here. The first thing I'm going to do is show you the ingredients. So if you take a look here, this is for an arancini. We've got a couple of different mixed up chopped things. Over here I've got Italian salami, this is some bacon, I've got spring onion, a bit of parsley, there's some chopped mushroom, and then I've got a mozzarella cheese and a normal cheese, and then some parmesan, and then I've got a rice. Okay, so this is a sushi rice. You can use a arborio rice, which is also quite a sticky rice, and then I've got some breadcrumbs here, and then just some spices, and then an egg. So just to tell you a little bit about arancini, I'm going to get this oil going on the go, just to keep that nice and warm to start off. But arancini originated in Sicily, and that was thought to be brought over to Sicily from the Arabs who had rice, and they needed a way to make rice a little bit more interesting. So they started putting ingredients into the rice, and then it became an Italian thing or a Sicilian thing. And most of the recipes you actually don't find in the rest of Italy, so it's really centralized around Sicily, which is quite interesting. Okay, so I'm not going to show you how to make arborio rice because it takes about 45 minutes, and that's the rice that you would use to make a risotto. So the best thing to do is actually to have leftover rice. So if you've got some long grain rice, you can use that. I've got some sushi rice here, so this is some sushi rice that we used the other day, and all I've done is I've added a little bit of pepper in there, and that's a really nice sticky rice. So you want a sticky rice like the arborio or the sushi rice. So I'm going to take this rice and I'm going to stick it into a bowl here, and this rice is super sticky, guys, so it sticks to your hands like this. So I've got a wet cloth here, so whenever I work with this rice I just wet my hands a little bit. It's a little bit too wet, and you'll find it doesn't really stick to your hands. So we just mix that up a bit. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take some salt, and this is quite important. When you're working with this rice, try and make it flavorful. You don't want to bite into an arancini ball and there's no flavor in the rice at all. So I'm putting a bit of salt and pepper in, and I've also got this beautiful Cape herb and spice garlic and herb mixture, which I'm going to chuck in there as well, and that's just going to flavor the rice nicely. Now there's yes, and then also parmesan. So the parmesan goes in, so that's just some grated parmesan. We're just going to mix that up a little bit. Now there's two schools of thought here, and you'll find this in different recipes. The first one is you mix egg into this, and the second one is that you actually mix or roll the ball into egg afterwards. So I'm going to take some egg, and we're just going to crack that open a little bit, and I'm going to mix that up. So I like it doing this. I like it doing it so that we roll the ball into egg and then the crumbs afterwards. So I'm going to take the cheese, and I'm just going to combine my cheeses here. And you can combine these things, but I like keeping them separate because then you can fiddle around with them and put as much in as you want to. So it's not necessary to combine them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this rice, and you need to make a couple of walnut size or golf ball size balls. So let's start with that. And I've got a little plate here to put aside once my balls are ready or cooked. So I'm going to take a reasonably large size of rice and turn it into a ball. So just more or less that size, and you can make a couple of these things. So let's just make two of these. I'm just going to show you how to do some of these. So you just make it into a really nice little ball like that. And that's more or less the size that you're going to be working with. Remember to keep your hands moist. So, I've been making a couple of these beforehand, so you'll see my oil is nice and dark. And we're going to make some vegetarian ones because members of our family don't like the fact that the only ones I've made have got bacon in. So we're going to do some vegetarian ones.
Okay.
So you start off and you make a little well like that. So you take your rice and push it down. Then you're going to take a little bit of this cheese and push it right into there.
So only the parmesan goes in first.
The parmesan's in the rice. So this is a mixture of mozzarella and cheddar. I want to take some mushrooms and push that down into there. And make sure that all of the ingredients that you put in here, there's a little bit of parsley, are dry. They mustn't be wet, because as soon as they're wet, they're going to actually start making the rice separate. So once you've got to this point, you can seal it a little bit with some more rice, with some more cheese, and then you start pinching it. And you pinch it over the top like that, just like that, and you seal the whole thing up. And just make sure it's all sealed properly. Here we go. And just roll that up a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to make another vegetarian one. Exactly the same process. Wet your hands a little bit. And make a ball in the well, or well in the rice. Take some cheese, push that into the bottom. That also tends to seal it and hold it together. A little bit more mushroom. Some more spring onion, and you can just do cheese if you want. You can literally put any ingredients in here that you want to. So,
and that was the bacon that went into the others.
That was the bacon that went into the others. So you can decide whatever you feel like. If you're vegetarians or vegans, the problem is with vegan is you're going to have to do a vegan cheese, and the vegan cheese doesn't work that well in these because you want this really nice, delicious mozzarella. And as I said to you before, the world goes around with cheese. So I've got about 5 balls here. See how quickly I made those? And we're going to take these now, and I'm just going to take a little bit and stick it into the oil, just a bit of rice, just to see how that cooks. And it needs to cook relatively fast. So this oil is perfect. Bubbling up really nicely. Okay, so I'm going to take 2 of these, and I'm going to roll them in some egg. And then I'm just going to roll them in some breadcrumbs. So this can get a little bit messy, but at the end of the day you've got a wet cloth that you can dry your hands with, or clean your hands with, I suppose. So there you go. That's what they should look like. So
Lindsay says, are the mushrooms raw?
The mushrooms are raw. Okay, so I'm just going to drop those in. And those are boiling nicely. And you're going to leave those in until they start getting this like really rich orangey color. I'm going to do a couple more and roll those around in there, and then we're going to drop those in again. Guys, be very careful with this oil. Don't drop it in. Always use a spoon to put it in. As soon as you drop it in, you're going to get oil splatters all over the place. Okay, there we go. That looks great. So we're going to let that cook up nicely, and then once that's cooked up, we're going to pull it out, and I'm going to show you what it looks like at the end. And guys, as I said to you, there's 2 different ways of doing it. So listen properly. The one is you put your egg yolk into your rice and mix that up. I find that makes the rice a little bit wet, and it doesn't stick together that well. But then you also put breadcrumbs in. So I haven't put any breadcrumbs in here. I've just put spices and my parmesan in here. And my recipe is to put, just to roll it a bit in a bit of egg and roll it in breadcrumbs, and that will form a lovely coating. Okay, another thing about arancini. Arancini is actually translated is little orange. So in the area where this comes from, all of these things, when they're cooked up, they look like little oranges. So that's just an interesting fun fact where the name comes from. Okay, so these ones look like they're pretty much done.
Kim just wants to know, what oil do you use?
I just use the sunflower oil for this. You can use pretty much any oil. You can use a canola oil. Don't use an olive oil because olive oil is just too expensive for this. But just use a standard oil. But, just get that going. All right. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so let me show you this quickly. These are the two different techniques. So if you look here, this one is the one that I'm showing you now, which is where you roll the ball in egg and then in breadcrumbs. This is the one where the egg is actually in the breadcrumbs. The egg is in the rice, and then you only roll it in the breadcrumbs afterwards. So this is a much rougher look, and this one's a much smoother look. You can see that one. So this is the one we've just done now.
We put one next to the other like that.
Yeah, there we go. So you can see the difference. This has got a much rougher edge. This is probably a better example there. So you see the difference in the types of balls that you want to get. Okay, so Arancini looks pretty cooked. Another thing you can do, people, is you can actually make these balls beforehand. So when a ball is in this state, you can actually take this and freeze a whole lot of these. Once they're frozen, you pull them out, roll them in egg, roll them in the breadcrumbs. Just allow them to thaw a little bit, and then yeah, you're ready. So let me show you what this looks like. So you can see these ones are slightly different in color. I'm going to take this and I'm going to break it apart. Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a perfect one with a really nice bunch of cheese in there. There we go. That's what it looks like. Fantastic. You can see the mushrooms are nicely cooked as well. Okay. Alright, so that is arancini. What's really nice about arancini is you can do it as a starter, you can do it for entertaining, you can do it as a snack, you can freeze it, you can make it beforehand. It's beautifully tasty. You'll find that this mozzarella and, what did I say to you last time? Mozzarella and bacon makes the universe go round. Cheese makes the world go round. Okay, so anything with cheese and spring onion, mushroom, it's fantastic, like really nice flavors. So try those at home. They're really simple to make. The best thing to do, as I said to you, is use rice that you've already used or extra rice, and then turn it into this fantastic dish if you've got the rice left over. Okay, so that's the course for this evening. Please go online onto our website, register for a course, do a private course if you want to, get some family and friends from overseas together into a group cooking session. It works really well, and we'll see you online. Thanks very much for watching.